Tapping in Life's Math Industry, and we are going to take a look at similar polygons. So we've been taking a look at what similarity is in geometry, and it talks about when you have a shape right here, and you have another figure, and then it can be the same size, that can be known as similar, or it could be a different size. So what it's going to be is 1414 and 2020. Even though these two shapes are the same shape, they can be similar because this is a different size than that. That is what we learned about in the last video. But now what we're going to do is, if we have different dimensions on these two different shapes, what can we do to find x, or what do we know, and what do we need to know to make sure these two shapes are similar, instead of me just saying, oh, these two shapes are similar. So, what's going to happen? So what we're going to do is use triangles right here. So this is going to be a problem right here. We're going to understand, how do we know these shapes are similar? Well, we already know that if you look at the dimensions, this is going to be half the size of that. But how can we mathematically understand it? Well, with triangles, they are the easiest shape to look at when learning this subject. The rules for similar polygons with triangles is ratios of the corresponding sides are equal to each other. And also, corresponding angles must be congruent if they are similar. The reason why we say congruent with angles is because we're not changing the size of the angle or how wide it is. What we're changing is the size of the whole shape, not the angles. For example, these squares have 90-degree angles. What we did not do was make the angles a bit wider or narrower. That would change the shape. What we did do is to make the shape go from big to small. And it still has 90-degree angles. So how are we going to do that? Also, about corresponding angles are congruent. If you remember from another video, we were learning about AAS, or angle side. If you have two angles on a side, that is going to tell you that the third pair of congruent angles should be congruent to each other. So we're going to say that this right here, angle A, is going to be congruent to angle D. Angle B is going to be congruent to angle E. And angle C is going to be congruent to angle F. So just from AAS and also corresponding angles are congruent, that is going to be very, very helpful. So now it's time to understand mathematically how these are similar. Well, first of all, when it says triangle ABC and triangle DEF, that squiggly line right there is actually the symbol used for similarity, if you're using it for a proof or some kind of statement. So let's start labeling. Let's label A and B as a segment, D and E. So what we're going to say is A and B is going to be divided with D and E. And that is going to say 6 divided that by 3 is going to equal 2 over 1. So we're going to say the bigger shape is 2 times the size of the smaller shape. And that is going to be similar. However, that was just to only one of the sides. Let's make one more. Let's say we're going to use AC, divide that by DF. And that is going to be 12 divided that by 6. Simplify that, and you are going to get 2 over 1 again. That is a way we can tell if we do all the sides of the figure, that is going to help us understand that these two shapes are officially similar. Okay, that was a little bit easier. how about we do a little challenge problem? We said earlier when we got to this that not only you prove or mathematically understand that these things are similar, but what about finding what x and y is? So here is another problem. Figure ABCD is going to be similar to EFGH. So if you look at the figure, these two are going to be scaled and proportioned. So just like the other problems, let's pick a side, any side. So we have x and y. What we're going to try and do is find those missing variables and see what fits into them. So both figures are going to be similar in size. So what's going to happen is I'm going to say A and B, divide that by B and E and F. And I'm also going to say B and C is going to be divide that by F and G. So here's AB and EF is going to be equal, because we're going to make a proportion, to BC and FG. The reason why we chose FG is because I accidentally wrote what the answer is on the answer sheet, and I filled it in with this marker, and there's a letter X right there. So what we're going to do is find out what the X is and find out what's behind that scribble. So that's why we're going to put it right there. If you translate it to a more numerical perspective, what we're going to do is 6 over 9 is going to be proportional to 4 over x. The reason why we did that is because we have 6, 9 that are corresponding, and we have 4 and whatever that x is that are corresponding. We said from the earlier part of the video about the rules, ratios of corresponding sides are equal. So that's why, hence, we made these proportionally, and also they are equal to each other. If we try to do the crisscross method and solving out what x goes into the proportion, we're going to get 36 is going to equal 6x. Divide by 6 and divide by 6. And x is going to equal 6 because 36 divided by 6 is 6. So that is what's behind this x, but also behind this missing scribble. Now, let's find out why this happens. No, literally, why? Let's find out what y is. So to get started, what we're going to do is use 6 over 9 again, because those are the only two corresponding information we have, as if we never solved for x and only solved for y. So that's going to be AB divided by EF. And the other thing is, we're going to equal it, and we're going to say the third one's going to be CD is going to be divided by GH. And that is going to be a ratio of 3 over x. So now we have another proportion to handle. If we do the crisscross method, 9 times 3 is 27, and that's going to equal 6x. And when you divide by 6 and divide by 6, what we're going to do is use a calculator. And when we do that, our x is going to, wait, hang on. Fine, I'm going to change this x to y, because originally it's going to be y. So y is going to be 4.5. Sometimes you are so eager and so wanting to use x as a variable, but sometimes why you probably got this answer incorrect, because it wasn't the x variable, it was the y variable. The number is correct, but if we wrote x, we assigned that answer to the wrong variable. So that is a mistake that many kids can do, because x is the most common letter used as in algebra. So that explains the video. Also, there are problems where you have to find the x's and the y's if you have degrees inside of a figure. We'll explain those later. So that explains the video. I hope this video has helped you understand similar polygons. Thank you for watching Top in Your Life's Math Industry. Like and subscribe. And just note to self, y equals 4.5.